Okay, hello there guys, welcome back to our LibGDX game development and continuing our video tutorials. In the last video we managed to create or identify when collisions occur between our spaceship and enemies, and so far what have we done is something simple. That is, we made all the enemies disappear, and that's by removing all the sprites and moving to a stage, okay, to to the last stage, which is the end of the game, as you can see here. So not much is there. Okay, so now let's work on improving that a little bit. So the first thing we want to do is to give our spaceship a number, probably a number of lives and also a number of hit points, because we could you could make your spaceship be destroyed by getting touched by an enemy right away, or you could make it capable of withstanding a number of attacks before it gets destroyed. And then we need something that displays the lives of our spaceship. So let's go and do that. So let's go to the player spaceship. There you go here. And what are we gonna do? We are gonna do something simple. Or just say we are gonna define here public and lives. Let's say you have 3 lives only, and public int HP, which represent the hit points, and right now our HP is equal to 1. Okay. Okay, so now when you get hit once, your spaceship get destroyed. Now this is the first thing. Let me go to the sprite class and add something here. I will say public int I'm gonna say attack equals 1, and by attack this attack variable will I won't set it to 1. Oh well, you know what, leave it 1, no problem. Now the idea of attack here is that when it collides with your spaceship, it's going to decrease HP by the value of attack. So this way, if your spaceship died or something like that. So the stronger the enemy, you just set its attack and that's it. So now let's go to our stages. Okay, now all these, if I don't set them, since I set a default value for our sprite variable attack, it will take all the attack of 1. Okay, seems okay now. The next thing we want to do, let me see, this is the player spaceship. Okay, well actually I'm gonna make the HP equals to 3. Okay, so let me go to the game here and let me see when there is a collision. Now if there is a collision, I will just say, instead of this one, I'm gonna say where is that, player dot HP equals player dot HP minus stage enemies dot get of I dot attack. There you go. Not only that, when the enemy touches you, it will get destroyed. So in my case, I would just say stage enemies dot remove element I. Okay. And finally, I will say break in order to exit the loop, right? Now, before breaking, I want to do something simple here. I would just say if player.hp smaller than or equal to 0, in that case a life is lost or a spaceship is lost. So in that case I would just use the standard code for our previous code to exit the game in our case. So let us try this out and see how it works. So we run this. Now we should get hit by 3 spaceships and the waves disappear. I don't think I could do it in time, but let me see. 1, 2. Okay, so now if I touch 1 spaceship, all will disappear. So let me see. Go. As you can see now, we managed to touch 3 spaceships and you know, the wave stopped. So what we want to do next is that when the player touches a spaceship and he got hit, we want to have some indication that the spaceship is being affected. Okay, so now let me go to player spaceship and now go and define a variable. Where's that? Player spaceship, there you go. Now this variable is going to be public invincible. This is going to be float invincible equals 0. Okay, and yeah, now this is gonna be a very special timer. Okay, the invincible is gonna be a timer and its job is to calculate for how many seconds that your spaceship cannot be affected by others. Okay, so when you get hit by an enemy, as in this case, where is that? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where's the part we added the game? What's wrong with me? I totally forget where the code is. Anyway, so here, let me see if stage blah blah. Okay, now this one. Else. Now if it is smaller than 0, else this means your spaceship got hit. So now the spaceship is in invincible mode. Okay, so it should not be affected at all. So player dot invincible, okay, equals. Now I'm gonna set this timer to 3000 milliseconds. In other words, your spaceship will be capable of withstanding anything for up to 3 seconds. Okay. So now I will just add a very simple thing here. If player dot invincible doesn't equal 0. It's very simple. So if your spaceship is not an invincible sorry, if this one is equal to 0, meaning that it doesn't have a timer for invincibility, then you will check collision detection and go on. So let's go back to our player. Now let's go back to our update. So here we are gonna override the standard update method and add a few things. Okay, so public void public override, I think. Override. Okay, let me see the sprite. Where is the sprite in here? Where is the update? Oh, there you go. Here. And let me go back to the player. Yes. So here we have this guy. So I am overriding the original method and super.update time in second. Now what this does, this calls the original update method of this of the basic class, but what we want to do is something simple. We just want to update the invincible minus equal time in seconds. Okay. I'm not sure this one does it return time between 0 and 1. I'm not sure. I'll have to check that. Let me check it out quickly. Okay, so let's run this. Yeah, no, oops. I should debug that. Okay, so here I have breakpoint there. Okay, remove that. F9 again. Now this is time in second. Oh yes, so my mistake, I'm very sorry. This variable here is sending time in seconds, so all I have to do, instead of using 3000 milliseconds, this represents seconds. My mistake, so sorry about that. Okay, now let's go back to our player. Just wanted to check this now, and let's stop this. Okay, so what happens next? Now we just check if invincible is smaller than 0. In that case, I would say invincible equals 0. That's it, so that it does not go below that. Now I will also add something very simple here. If invincible doesn't equal 0, meaning that your spaceship is now in invincible mode. I would say sp.setColor, and now I'm gonna say red, or actually I could use 1.0f followed 0.5f followed by 0.5f followed by 0.5f, right? Yeah, let me check this for a second. Oh, and there's alpha there. So 1f, 1.0f. Okay, there you go. So else. So if your spaceship is in invincible mode, then we are gonna change its color temporarily and see what happens. This will give us good indication. Okay, so let us run this again. Okay, let's wait for a hit. Okay, you can see the color change 1, 2, 3 seconds, and okay, and now we are back, as you can see. So check this out. 1, 2, and 3 seconds, and we go back. Okay, that's fine, right? Very straightforward thing here. Okay, so now we got hit. Another thing that we could do in here, we don't want the color to be like that. We want it to alternate and change. Okay, so here we are gonna do the following. I'm gonna say float f equals system dot time in milliseconds, and I will take this modulus 100 and divide this. Let me see, where is that? And divide this by 100.0f. Okay, so this will get me a value between 0 and 1. And what am I gonna do next is just set this value to f, and this is gonna be 1 minus f, and this is gonna be f. Okay, so what's happening is that each 100 milliseconds we will go from color black to from between 0 to 255, or between 0 and 1, because we are normalizing here, and then we are going to change the red and the green and the blue. Okay, this is basically the idea, and we change the color of the spaceship or return things normally after that. So let's see, what did we do here? Okay, we try to touch this. Okay, you can see our spaceship now is flashing, indicating that you know, we got hit. We can actually increase this timer over here, make it 200 or 300 milliseconds, because it's flashing a little bit too much, right? It's kind of annoying. So let's see if we are setting this to 300 milliseconds. So each 300 milliseconds it will alternate, which I would assume much better. You can see here, this is much better, right? Yes. So now we are invincible for a specific period of time. And again, now the next thing we want to set here is that well, we want to create some kind of explosion that happens when a spaceship is you know, when a spaceship get destroyed. Does that make sense? So when a spaceship touches you, it should, you know, you should have some kind of effect. So for this we are gonna create something simple. First we need some kind of a very small texture to, you know, represent a fragment of the spaceship or something like that. Okay, so for this, what are we gonna do? We are gonna go to here. Let's go to assets, and let me just open this. Or actually, I could just access this one. I put that in temp. There you go. Where is the Cradle Android assets? There you go. This is the sprite sheet, right? So let me run GIMP. Hopefully it will run a little bit faster. I reinstalled it. Okay. Come on. Be a little bit faster. Sorry about that. Nah, the machine is not fast enough. Anyway. Okay, so we got this open and we drag and drop. Click here, let us maximize everything. Align everything, let's configure this to grid 5, 6, 16, and view, we show the grid. Let us zoom in. Okay, so what are we gonna use for this? Interesting. I could use this, you know, this piece like a star. You know what, I will use this part here to indicate that you know, this is a fragment of our spaceship. Okay, and work on that. Okay, so I don't think I need to add anything here. Does that make sense? So let's go back here. First, I'm gonna create something like a sprite. New class, where is that? New Java class. I'm gonna call this explosion. Explosion, right? Explosion. Yeah. So here I am gonna hit OK. There you go. So what we need here in the explosion is to specify a number. First, the texture. Right, we need to have the texture set, and yeah, so basically I will say texture region. Okay, and by the way, I will just make sure that there is only one texture region, so I will say public static texture region particle. There you go. Semicolon, or yeah, or equals. Let me see. Oh no, this I have to set it later. Because if I add code here, it will execute before the game initializes and cause a problem. So I have to fill it later on. Now, what I need to do, well, let me see. Let me check something before I continue. Yeah, you know what? I'm very sorry about that. Let's not make it static. Let's just make one. Okay. Yeah. So the next thing we are gonna do is define a number of particles. So to define number of particles, we don't create an array of that, but rather specify the x and y for each particle. So when a spaceship explodes, it will be, you know, we are going to draw a number of particles at different locations. So all we need is a number of x's and y's. So we are going to say public int, or actually float x's, okay? And we have also public float y's. Okay, of course you don't you know you don't do it like call it these names, but anyway, I use these names, whatever. So we have also public float dx and public float dy. So this one represents the x-axis, the value, the x of the particle. This represents the y of the particle. The difference, or delta x, this is delta y. Okay, so this is it. The next thing we want to do is to specify or start initializing things. So I'm going to say public explosion. So this is going to be the constructor, but I won't make it like a normal one, but rather force it to have parameters. So here we have float x and float y. Okay, so the first thing we want to do, I'm gonna say particle equals, so let me go to, where's the background? I'm gonna, let me see, I think this is the first one. I will use this one. Control C. Let's go to the explosion. Control V. So this is the first one. I'm gonna get the first particle. Okay, I'm gonna store it here. Now I will use this int particle count. I'll assume the maximum number of particles I'm gonna use is 300 particles. Okay, and next I will start filling the arrays. So xs equals a new float of particle count. Particle count. Oh, made it small. My mistake. Okay, so we have the y's equals a new float of particle count. and the dx's equals a new float of particle count, and the dy's equals a new float of particle count. So we have these four guys, and next we created the arrays. Next we are gonna fill them with random values. Okay, so for int I equals 0 and I smaller than particle count and I plus plus. Now the first thing to notice is that when we are gonna plot these, they start at the same x and y passed to our function. So x and y represent the center of the sprite that is being that is exploding. So we are gonna say xs of I equals x and ys of I equal y. Very simple, very straightforward. And what are we gonna do next is to give different speeds to different particles. So now dx of I equals, so I might need to define a random r equals new random. There you go. Okay, so here we have dx, we have this r dot next float, right? So there's gonna be next float. Let me see. The next float returns what? Is there? Wait a second. Next float public, and it doesn't say, but I assume it returns a value between 0 and 1. So you know, let me just quickly say here random.next float java, just to make sure. Come on, next float is used to get, yeah, it returns a value between 0 and 1. That's it. This is what we need. So all we have to do is say 0.5 minus 0.5f minus next float. So next float returns a value between 0 and 0.5. If it returns 0, you will get 0.5 float. If it returns 1, you will get minus 0.5. So this formula get you, you know, a value between these two ranges. Very straightforward. Now the same trick will be used for this one. So we set different speeds in the x and y directions. That's it. Now the next thing we are going to do is to update the explosion. Oh, one last thing. We should say we should set an explosion timer, because you don't want the explosion particle to still fly forever. So we say public float timer. Okay, semicolon. And here I would just say timer equals timer equals 2, so it represents 2 seconds. Okay, so we have public void update, there you go, and float time in second. So first we have timer minus equals time in second. Okay, so meaning that the timer will be reduced. Now why is this one red? I'm not sure. Okay, just say this timer equal timer minus, oh, the spelling, very sorry about that. Yeah, so timer equals timer minus time in second, this first. Next we are going to update all the particles. So we say for int I equals 0, I smaller than x's dot length and I plus a plus. Next we say x's of I plus equals. Now we have dx's of I. We multiply this by time in second. Okay, then we multiply this by, let's say we want the speed of the maximum speed of a particle to be 50 or something like that. Okay, so the same thing get applied to this one. So device, yeah, okay, dy, there you go. So we said this, and the final thing is drawing. So I'm gonna copy the code from here because I'm a very lazy person. Render background, there you go. So I would just, you know, copy a few things. Control C, there you go. Let's go to our friend. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Please, explosion. There you go. And there you go. Fine. And we close this. Okay. So instead of set, I wonder if we should set color. I don't want to set color for now. Okay. So we are gonna draw what? We are gonna draw the particle. Let me see. For int I equals 0 and I smaller than x's dot length and I plus a plus. And next I will draw the particle. Okay. And let me see. I need to draw this at location x, so there's going to be x's of I. I draw this at location y's of I, and yeah, now the source x, this is going to be 0, this is going to be 0, and yeah, particle dot get region width and particle get region height. There you go. So this seems to be okay. Why this one's objecting? I'm not sure. Wrong. First I go found blah 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 texture region required. Yeah. Let me go to three-headed spaceship. What did I do? We have this thing here. Yeah, that should work fine. Spaceship texture. Yeah, this texture region. No problem. Explosion. So particle, what's that? Texture region. This texture region. It should work fine. This is very weird. Okay, let me go to background. Let me see the rendering. Where is the render background? So we draw something like this, and then yeah, we are drawing this here. Get width and height. Yeah, this should be it. Maybe there's a problem with the parameter. Let me see. Let's have a look. So particle, this is the particle, right? So let's see, what should we pass to this guy? Oops. Wait a second. Texture region. Oh, we have float x, float y. And we don't need the others. Okay, sorry about that. It seems that overloading is causing a problem somehow. Anyway, so instead of render background, render explosion. Something like that. Okay, that's fine. We are gonna save this. Now let's go to our game and see what can we do. So first let's test that we can create an explosion. Okay, so what need to happen, we created what? We created a list of enemies, right? So we will also create a list of explosion list. So ArrayList Explosion. Okay, this is gonna be stage explosions. Okay, equals a new ArrayList of explosion. There you go. Now this is an empty array, not a big deal. So let's go to our code. This is going to be very straightforward, not much there. So here, checking if sprite needs to be enabled. We remove enemies. Okay, so here we are removing enemies who are beyond display. That's fine. Also, we'll do something similar. Remove explosion objects that their timer is beyond the limit. Okay, so for int I equals explosion, what did I call it? Stage explosions. Yes, dot size -1, and I is greater than or equal to 0, and I minus. Now if stage explosion dot get I, okay, dot timer is smaller than or equal to 0. At that point, what should happen? We should just say stage explosions dot remove element I. Okay, so if the timer is up, the explosion shouldn't happen at all. Next, we are updating the player and enemies. Add explosion to update list as well, right? So we check these now. Now for int I equals 0, I is more than stage explosions and I plus, oh sorry, dot size and I plus. We just say stage explosions dot update yeah, what was the name of the method? My memory is bad. Okay, it's update and it's public, so it should be fine. And why? Yeah, that's weird. Okay, so it doesn't identify it. Let me go back to the game. Never mind. Yeah, probably this one. Oh, sorry, my mistake. Get element I dot update. I passed the time span. There you go. So we update these guys. And we check the collision. There is one L. One S, sorry, not one L. Okay. We check the collision, blah blah blah, and finally we are rendering things here. So we are rendering enemies, and now we render explosions. Okay, so we are going to do something similar here. For int I equals 0, I is more than stage explosions dot size and I plus plus. And here we are gonna say stage explosions dot get element I dot render, right? Get element I, right? Yeah, it's element I dot render explosion. There you go, and I pass the patch, and that should be it. Okay, so now we have all the code, you know, dot render the explosion, but we didn't tell the computer when should the explosion appear. So when we are getting a collision with the enemy, so here we are removing element I. Before we do that, we would say explosion exp equals a new explosion, and I need to pass the x and y. In this case, I will say stage enemies, sorry, stage enemies dot get element I dot x, and stage enemies dot get element I dot y. The x need to be capital. Yes. Okay, so here we create explosion object and stage explosions dot add exp. Okay, so what happens here when you are colliding with an enemy? First, your HP get decreased. Next, we create an explosion object for the enemy spaceship, and we add it to the list. Then we remove the enemy because now it's being replaced by the explosion, and we check if you are dead or not. Yeah, very straightforward. And finally, if you are not dead, we set your invincibility. And let's run this, and hopefully it gives us good result. Okay, so this is the spaceship. Come on, give us something nice. Okay, so there is an explosion. However, the speed of the particles is very low, so we need to improve that. So let's go to explosion here. Where's the update part? Instead of I will make it 300. The speed of the particles will be 300. So now let's see how it goes. Let's check this. Go. Well, much better. Now the second thing here that we need to notice that when we are rendering these, I'm gonna say sp.setColor, and I will use what? I will use timer. Actually, I'll set this to red, followed by 1 minus timer over 2.0f, right? And 1 minus timer over 2.0f, followed by, yeah, the same value. And the reason or the logic behind this is as follows. Now we gave this a time of 2 seconds. Okay, about 2 seconds. It's taking more for some reason, but anyway, it should be a time of about 2 seconds for the explosion to, you know, go away. So setting the red component always on means we will always get the red component. Now these two parts actually would represent a change from, you know what? There is no need for 1 minus. Yeah. Now the rest of the components will be reduced from white and getting darker, resulting in keeping the red color alone. As for the last one, which is alpha, this means that the transparency will increase until the particles disappear altogether. Now I'll increase the speed of this one. And one last thing, I'll return the colors to their original form. sp.setColor 1, 1, 1, and 1, and semicolon. Yeah. So let's see how this goes. Hopefully it will go well. Hopefully. Go. Did you see? It went from white to red and it disappeared as well. So check this out again. Very nice, right? Now I'm wondering if we can actually increase this furthermore. So instead of using 500 here, I will use 1000. You know what? 500 plus 200. Actually, interesting. I will make this plus 0.5 to make it faster, so that I will multiply this by 1.5. Oh no. Now this will be positive value. Yeah. Maybe 500. I want to add an absolute value to each x and y, regardless of the original speed. You know what, I will just increase this and make it 700, okay, to make the particles faster. That's it. Come on. Go. Much better, right? So now we created invincibility for our spaceship, and also we created explosions. Okay, so as a bonus for you guys, we are gonna make one last thing here today, because you know, it's already about 4 a.m. and I want to go to work in the morning. So let me see. Before I clear the enemies, I'll just do the simple trick. For int j equals 0 and j smaller than stage enemies, okay, dot size and j plus plus, I'm gonna make all of them explode. So I will say explosion exp equals new explosion. I will get stage enemies dot get element I dot x followed by stage enemies dot get element I dot get the value y. Okay, so I get these, and stage explosions dot add element exp. Now I will change this to exp2 so that the name doesn't conflict with the exp above. And yeah, so now if we hit 3 enemies, the last, you know, the third one will cause all of them to explode at once. Okay, so let's see. So we are gonna hit the first one. Go. Okay, that's fine. The first one got exploded. Where's the second one? Nice, there's the second one. And now, oh, we will get to that one. Quickly. There you go. Oops, made a mistake. Very sorry about that. Oh, this is not I, this is J. My mistake. We save this and we run again. My mistake. Sorry about that. Okay. So I'm gonna put this one here. First one getting exploded. Fine and perfect. Second one getting exploded. Also worked. Totally fine. Totally great. The last one. They all explode. Isn't that nice? Yeah, totally nice. Yeah. One last thing I want to check here. I noticed there is a little bit of flash of white before the enemy get, you know, exploded for good. I would just say if timer smaller than 0, then timer equals 0. That's it. I think the values is moving in the negative, so it will, when it's being converted to you know, color, it is causing that problem. So let's see this, and hopefully this addresses the problem. We shouldn't see any flashes of white when after the explosion disappears. And okay, this first one, totally fine, no flash there. The next one, also totally fine. And the last one. And they all get destroyed, no flashing there. So it's working perfectly fine without any problem. Okay, so that will be all for today. We managed to create explosions. We managed to create a hit point for our spaceship. We didn't reduce the number of lives. We might work on that later on. Probably in the next video we'll work on shooting bullets, and maybe after that we'll get into text and start, you know, creating the menus and the last finishing touches before starting to focus on the levels themselves. So that will be all for today. Thank you for watching and have a nice day. Bye bye. So here I stop recording.